Welcome back to the channel. My name is Derek Coffey and I'm the founder of FWP. And it's been a while since I've done any retirement planning content, so I figured why not do one now? In the past, we've gone over situations where we're planning for those last 5 years before you finally call it quits and just making sure you have all of your ducks in a row. That way you can retire and retire comfortably. But now it's time to start moving that back. For a lot of people that have just turned 50 or maybe they're into their early 50s and they don't have anything saved, they may feel like retirement's a pipe dream, but that can't be any further from the truth. With a little bit of sacrifice and a little bit of discipline, you can in fact build yourself a retirement plan. The other thing that works in your favor in your early 50s is you still have time. You still have 10 or 15 years of high earning years that you can start saving money, getting rid of debt, and putting yourself in a position to retire. In this video, we're going to get into a very real world example where we have a 50-year-old couple who have nothing saved for retirement. They still have a little bit of debt that needs to be taken care of. And we're going to build them a retirement plan that they can feel confident in. Stay tuned. Now, before we get into the planning process, we do need to lay the groundwork for our sample couple. And if you've watched any of the videos in our When Can You Retire series, you've seen this couple before. The only difference is now we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of debt. So our sample couple brings in $130,000 a year. Their needs-based spending is $5,000 a month. So this is going to cover their mortgage, utilities, minimum debt payments, etc. All of the other money that they have after taxes, they just spent. Now, their savings is zero. They have nothing saved, but if they did contribute to a 401k, they would be eligible for a 5% dollar-for-dollar match. Looking out into retirement, their projected Social Security benefit at their full retirement age is $2,000 per person per month. Now, with this situation specifically, we do have to keep in mind that those amounts could be reduced. In 2033, the Social Security Administration is projected to run out of money, and this could result in a benefit reduction of 21%. So when we get into the planning software, we're actually going to account for this 21% reduction just to make sure we've covered all of our bases. The final thing that we're going to project out into their retirement is that they need $5,000 a month to live. $4,000 of that is going to be for their needs-based spending and their want spending, and then the additional $1,000 is going to be all for their health care. The second piece of their situation is the fact that they still have debt. In our other videos, when we're 5 years away, we're assuming that all of the debt is paid off and their assets are just growing and they're working until they can retire. But in this situation, when you're 10 or 15 years out from retirement, you very well may have debt. So for our sample couple, they do, and that total debt is $232,000. They have $20,000 on a credit card at 18% interest. They have $15,000 on a car loan at 6% interest, and they still owe $197,000 on their house at a 4% interest rate. And the goal of this plan is going to be to take care of this debt along the way. Just like planning for retirement at any point in your life, it's all about balance and finding what's going to work best. That way you can enjoy life now and still hit your financial goals for your future. So with our sample couples plan, we're going to take a three-pronged approach to solving all of their problems. Prong number one is going to be making sure they still have money to spend on the things that they enjoy. No, it's not going to be the same amount that they had before, but because they're willing to sacrifice and dedicate themselves to solving their financial problems and eventually hit retirement, we have to make sure that they're able to reward themselves now. So prong number one is going to be all about rewarding them and making sure they have that extra money that they can spend. Prong number two is going to be saving for retirement. They have to begin building some type of nest egg. That way they can pull the income off of it that they need. And then the final prong of this plan is getting rid of that debt. That $232,000 has to disappear. And the reason this is because we want their expenses in retirement to be as low as they possibly can. If we can get rid of all of that debt, that way they don't have to worry about making those payments, that's going to take the stress off their investments to produce the income that they need. So to implement this three-pronged plan, we have to lay out what their current cash flow situation is. We already know that they bring in $130,000 a year. They're spending $5,000 a month on their needs. They're paying about $28,000 in taxes just based on their tax bracket. And all of that math equates to $42,000 a year that they have left over to spend however they wish. Now, based on the fact that they don't have anything saved for retirement and that they still have some debt, we can assume that they're spending all of that additional cash flow. And I want you to keep in mind there's nothing wrong with that. You have to enjoy the money that you're working for, especially this late in your career. But what I want you to keep in mind is that you need to do it in moderation. That way, you're achieving your financial goals, but you're also able to live in the moment. So to implement this three-pronged plan, we're going to take that $42,000 and we're going to put it to use. The first thing we need to do is we have to start saving for retirement. Even if they only put in 5%, they're going to get that 5% match. Remember, that's free money from your employer, so you may as well get it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have them start contributing 15% of their salary into their 401k. So when you add in that 5% match, that's 20% total that's going into their savings. With that, and taking into account the reduced tax bill that they're going to have just over $2,000 a month left over to spend how they wish. Now remember, we want this to be balanced. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 1,000 of that 2,000 and they're going to spend it how they want. They're going to enjoy their life on that $1,000. The other $1,000 that's left over is what we're going to use to pay towards their debt. So over the course of the next 4 years, they're going to be saving 15% into their 401k. They're going to receive the 5% match from their employer. They're going to enjoy the $1,000 a month, but they're also going to add that $1,000 a month towards their debt. Now, doing some simple math based on the non-mortgage debt that they have, they should pay everything off except their home over the next 4 years. Now, ideally, it would be done in 3, but we have to keep in mind that things happen. So there's going to be some months where that $1,000 that was meant to go towards debt just isn't going to make it there because it has to pay for something else. So over the next 4 years, we're going to get rid of all of their non-mortgage related debt, all the while saving that 20% of their total income. Once they make it to age 54, they're putting away $22,000 a year into that 401k plus that match. But now, since they only have their mortgage left, they have an additional $1,000 a month that they can use however they wish. What we're going to do is we're going to take that additional $1,000 that they were putting towards their debt, and we're going to split it up. $400 of that is going to go on their mortgage payment because then over the next 11 years, their mortgage is going to be taken care of. The other $600, they're going to spend it. They're going to do whatever it is that they've been holding back on because they've only had that $1,000 a month. Whether they want to take a cruise, go on a family trip, whatever it is that they want to do, that extra $600 a month is what they're going to use on that. Now, I don't want them to get used to it because once we get to 55, we're going to ramp up that retirement savings. So once our sample couple hits 55, then we have to take that $600 back. We have to reintroduce it to this plan. That way we can ensure they have enough money saved by the time they do retire. So what we're going to do is we're going to take their 401k contributions and bump them to 25%. I know this is almost a double of what they're putting in currently, but it is necessary to make sure that they have the nest egg they need when they do retire. Looking at their numbers, based on that 25% contribution, they're still going to have $19,619 left over to spend however they wish. Now, we have to take into account the additional $400 that's going towards their mortgage, but that's still going to leave them with over $1,200 a month to spend on whatever it is they want to. Yes, this road is very winding, but it is very real world, and we want to maintain that balance. The balance is what's going to keep them on track so that way they hit their savings goal, they pay off their debt, and they're as least stressed as possible when it comes time for them to retire. And speaking of retirement, we can take all of these things that we're doing and actually get a feel for what that first year of retirement is going to look like. So if we fast forward 10 years to age 65, we can see what their income is going to be. They're going to receive $43,629 from Social Security. Now, keep in mind, this includes that 21% reduction that we're expecting them to receive. So with that $43,629, they're still going to have a cash flow shortfall of $57,389. Where are we going to pull this money from? It's going to come from their investments. Now, based on everything that we've done this far, Their current plan gives them a 73% chance of succeeding. Now, we may want this number to be closer to 80. I personally would like it to be closer to 90, but somewhere between that 80 and 90 range is very realistic. It gives you something very reasonable to work with. So currently, they're at 73%. If we wanted to get their chances of success closer to 80, we could start tinkering with their Social Security. Now, we know that they're going to receive that reduction, but if they delay, maybe from 65 to 67 or 65 to 70, then they're going to receive more of their income from Social Security, and it will ultimately take some of that stress off of their invested accounts. So if we move it to their full retirement age, their chances of success go up to 75%. So not a very big jump. If we move it to age 70, it gets us to 78%. So moving their Social Security out any further than the day that they retire probably doesn't make that much sense because you're picking up a 5% change in your probability of success. So instead of delaying their Social Security, we're going to go ahead and take it when they retire. At age 65, we're taking Social Security. That takes us back to the 73% chance of success. So the way we're going to actually get this up to 80% is we're going to reduce their spending. So we've gone over in other videos why I think $4,000 is a good starting number when it comes to your expenses in retirement. Approximately $3,000 of that is going to cover all of your needs, like upkeep on your home, your auto, phone bill, utilities, etc. And then there's $1,000 left over every month for you to spend and actually enjoy your retirement. The other $1,000 to get us to that 5 is from healthcare expenses. But if we reduce that $4,000 down to $3,750, our chances of success go up to 81%. Now, I don't know about you, but I wasn't always a straight A student. 80%, 81% was great because it meant I got a B and I stayed out of trouble at home. So for most people and their retirement plans, 81% is going to be very good. There's not too much more that they're going to be able to do to change this. So if 80% works for them, then this is the perfect plan. Now, they could work a little bit longer. They could work until 67. That way they could delay Social Security, etc. But remember, our goal is to retire as soon as we possibly can. Hitting financial freedom is all about buying back your time. So once we get between that 80 and 90%, your plan is pretty much sufficient. So to show you how this plan can actually work, we're going to look at their invested accounts. Because believe it or not, using the plan that we've put in place, they're going to be millionaires by the time they turn 65. So if we go back to their cash flows, we go to their invested accounts, we can see that they have nothing at age 50. There's nothing in their accounts. They just start saving the 15% and they get the 5% match from their employer. We get down to 55, they start contributing 25% with the 5% coming from their employer. By the time they reach 65 years old, they have almost $1.1 million in their 401ks. Now, we know that they're going to receive just over $43,000 from Social Security in year one of their retirement, and that means they're going to have to pull out $51,380 from their 401ks to fill that income gap. But what I want you to notice is that as time goes on, we eventually get to the positive. So at 75, they have to start pulling their RMDs. Because of their birthdays, their RMD age is 75. So their plan distributions are going to be $64,570. They're still going to be $7,554 short. This is going to occur until they hit 79. And at this point, their RMDs are going to be more than the amount of money that they need to fill that income gap. This is how this plan gets them to over an 80% chance of success. Yes, you are at the mercy of the markets because more than half of your income is coming from those invested accounts. But if you're able to get that relatively consistent 7% every single year, then this plan can actually work. If you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate your patience. I understand this is a very winding tale of a retirement plan. I understand that there are a lot of moving pieces, but I also want you to understand that this is real life. Yes, they have $42,000 of free cash flow. We could have split it in half, put half into savings, half towards their debt, and called it a day. But restricting their spending to nothing when they've been used to spending $3,500 a month just isn't realistic. This plan's not going to work if you do it that way. But by taking the three-prong approach, ensuring they have money to spend, they have money going into savings and money going towards their debt, they put themselves into a position to retire and retire comfortably. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If this video or any of the other videos that I've put out has provided you value, then hit that subscribe button. If you know someone that's 50 years old and they don't have anything saved for retirement, then send this video to them so they understand that there is hope. There is a way to get there as long as they're willing to sacrifice and dedicate themselves to their plan. But I thank you so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon.